The vast, iridescent chamber of the conclave of unveiled realities pulsed with a somber, bioluminescent light, casting long, wavering shadows across the crystalline plinths where the representatives of the galactic consensus stood in solemn assembly. Elder Cathar, his segmented carapace shimmering with an anxious violet, shifted his weight on the grav cushion, his three ocular stalks swiveling restlessly across the gathered delegates. The air, usually thick with the resonant hum of ancient wisdom and the gentle whisper of political maneuvering, was now brittle with a silence that spoke of profound unease, a silent, existential dread that had settled upon the consensus like a shroud. For cycles, their discussions had centered on the delicate balance of interstellar trade, the subtle negotiations of territorial disputes, and the intricate web of protocols governing nascent civilizations. Now a singular, unyielding topic dominated their thoughts, a new species that had emerged from the periphery of charted space, disrupting every established paradigm of galactic engagement: humanity. Counselor Velor, her iridescent wings, usually spread in a display of confident authority, were now tightly folded against her slender avian form, her multifaceted eyes fixed on the holographic projection flickering at the chamber's center. It depicted a series of telemetry readouts, spectral analyses, and extrapolated trajectory vectors, all converging on a single, unsettling anomaly: a human vessel. Not merely a vessel, but a construct of unprecedented scale and bewildering design, recently observed at the fringes of the Proxima Veil, far beyond any expected human exploratory range. The reports, corroborated across multiple independent observatories, spoke of an energy signature unlike anything ever recorded, a localized gravitational field anomaly that defied conventional astrophysical models, and a structural integrity rating that bordered on theoretical impossibility. "It is an anomaly, Elder Cathar," Velor's voice, usually a melodious cascade, was now a strained rasp, amplified and given gravitas by the chamber's resonance field. "Its very existence challenges our understanding of material science, energy conversion, and, frankly, the ethical boundaries of sapient development." A low murmur rippled through the conclave. The consensus, a federation of advanced civilizations spanning millennia, had long adhered to the rigorous Galaxial Accords, a comprehensive body of interstellar law designed to prevent the proliferation of superweaponry and maintain a fragile, hard-won peace. The Accords stipulated clear limitations on energy output, structural resilience, and autonomous offensive capabilities for any warship. Yet the data flooding their command centers regarding this human vessel suggested a blatant disregard, or perhaps a terrifying ignorance of these foundational principles. "To call it merely a warship," interjected Representative Xyler of the Krill Dominion, his voice a low, guttural thrum that vibrated through the floor plates, "is to misunderstand the scale of the threat. Our analysts have run every simulation, every predictive model. Against even our most formidable battle platforms, optimized for deep space engagement, this human construct projects a dominance that is statistically improbable. It is an instrument of planetary obliteration, a mobile fortress capable of sustained engagements against entire fleets. It is, by our accords, illegal. It is, by any metric of galactic security, an existential danger." Xyler's four luminous eyes narrowed, reflecting the ominous data. His people, renowned for their militaristic prowess and strategic acumen, were among the most shaken by the human emergence. Elder Cathar extended a forelimb, a gesture for silence that instantly settled the chamber. "We understand the anxieties, Representative Xyler. The consensus recognizes the unprecedented nature of this situation. However, we must proceed with caution and analysis, not merely with fear. Our initial contact protocols with the species designated humanity yielded perplexing results. Their initial exploratory craft were primitive by our standards, yet their scientific progress has been exponential, their expansion rapid, almost alarmingly so. They have established colonies on worlds that many of our engineers deemed too volatile, too environmentally hostile for long-term habitation. Their resilience, their adaptability, their sheer audacity in the face of environmental challenge has been observed. But this." Cathar gestured towards the holographic vessel, a sleek, dark leviathan of impossible dimensions, its true scale only hinted at by the comparative size of the projected orbital station it had casually bypassed. "This is a leap, not an evolution. It implies a technological foundation that was either concealed from us or developed with a speed that defies all known models of scientific progression." The CH. amber swelled with renewed debate, a cacophony of clicking mandibles, resonant vocalizations, and the subtle emanations of telepathic projections. The human vessel, now code-named Goliath by the consensus intelligence agencies, remained an enigma. Its energy signature fluctuated, at times almost dormant, at others surging with an intensity that threatened to overload monitoring arrays. No direct communication had been initiated by the humans, nor had they responded to the consensus's preliminary hails. They simply observed, seemingly inert, yet radiating an undeniable power. Was it a probe, a demonstration, a declaration of intent? The uncertainty was agonizing. Counselor Velor addressed the conclave again, her voice regaining a measure of its usual clarity, though tinged with a philosophical weight. We must consider the intent. Why would a species, still relatively nascent on the galactic stage, present such a device? Is it a defensive posture, a preemptive measure against perceived threats? Or is it a declaration of dominance, a display of unchallengeable might? Their initial interactions with the consensus were contradictory. They demonstrated an innate curiosity, a desire to understand our technologies and cultures, yet they also possessed a surprising reluctance to reveal the full extent of their own advancements. We observed their artistic expressions, their societal structures, their philosophical treatises. They spoke of peace, of unity, of the pursuit of knowledge. Yet this Goliath belies those stated ideals. It is a weapon, pure and unadulterated. A weapon of such destructive potential that it stands as an affront to every accord, every treaty, every fragile peace we have constructed over millennia. The philosophical implications of the Goliath were as unsettling as its raw power. The consensus had long believed that true sapient advancement led inevitably towards a rejection of such ultimate weaponry, a convergence on diplomatic solutions and the shared pursuit of knowledge. The very existence of the Goliath suggested a divergence from this path, a dark echo of ancient galactic wars, of species driven to extinction by their own destructive capabilities. It ignited old fears, fears of an uncontrollable force, of a species that had mastered the ultimate tools of annihilation without, perhaps, fully understanding the profound responsibility that accompanied such power. "We have sent a diplomatic envoy," Elder Cathar stated, his voice a low thrum that cut through the renewed murmurs. "The Starsinger-class vessel, the Voice of Unity, is en route, carrying a delegation of high-ranking diplomats and xenolinguists. Their mission is to establish direct contact, to understand the purpose of this construct, and to impress upon humanity the gravity of violating the Galaxial Accords. We have also deployed a defensive cordon of consensus pacification vessels, not to engage but to observe, to provide a buffer, and to ensure the safety of our diplomatic team. Let it be known, the consensus seeks understanding, not confrontation, but we are prepared for any eventuality." A chilling silence descended once more, punctuated only by the distant hum of the chamber's life support systems. The weight of the moment was palpable. The future of galactic peace, forged in the crucible of countless conflicts, now rested on the unpredictable shoulders of a single species and the purpose of their ultimate warship. The Starsinger, the Voice of Unity, a vessel designed for graceful interstellar passage and resonant diplomatic exchange, hung motionless in the void, its pearl-white hull reflecting the distant, cold starlight. Before it, a silhouette against the swirling gas clouds of the Proxima Veil, was the human vessel, the Goliath. It was immense, far larger than even the most pessimistic projections had indicated. It did not possess the sleek, elegant lines common to consensus vessels, but rather a brutal, functional aesthetic. Its surface was a tessellation of dark, unyielding plates, devoid of discernible weapon emplacements, sensor arrays, or even apparent thruster ports. It simply was a monument to raw, unadulterated power, a dark, silent sentinel. Ambassador Lyra of the Zalosian Enclave, her 4 crystalline wings fluttering nervously against the grav harness, stared at the main viewscreen in the Voice of Unity's bridge. Her people, renowned for their empathic abilities and their profound understanding of nonverbal communication, had initially been optimistic about engaging humanity. Their early interactions had revealed a species capable of deep emotional resonance, complex cultural narratives, and a yearning for connection. But this leviathan of a ship defied all empathic readings. It was a void, a silent monolith, radiating nothing but an almost oppressive sense of mass and latent energy. "No discernible power fluctuations, Captain." Lyra's voice was a soft, almost ethereal whisper. No active shields, no weapon signatures. It registers as inert, and yet the sheer presence of it feels watchful, patient. Captain Arhan, his multifaceted eyes scanning the sensor readouts, rumbled a low agreement. His people, the K-Arthar, were renowned for their stoicism and their unwavering adherence to protocol. But even Arhan felt a tremor of unease. We have extended full diplomatic hailing protocols, ambassador, standard consensus universal frequency, multiple languages including the human primary tongue English. No response, not even a passive acknowledgement. The silence was absolute. The Goliath simply hung there, a dark, motionless threat. Suddenly, a faint energy signature bloomed on the K-Arthar's advanced sensor arrays, emanating not from the Goliath itself, but from a point adjacent to it. A shimmering portal, a localized tier in spacetime, unfolded, and from it emerged a smaller human vessel. This craft, while still larger than the Voice of Unity, was more conventionally proportioned, resembling the earlier human exploratory ships. It was sleek, aerodynamic, and distinctly less imposing than the Goliath. This time, a response was immediate. A clear, resonant voice, speaking in flawless Galaxial standard, projected through the Voice of Unity's communication systems. "This is Captain Eva Rostova of the United Earth Diplomatic Service Vessel, emissary of Sol. We apologize for the delay in response. Our primary vessel, the UNS Aegis, requires specific power allocations that preclude simultaneous diplomatic engagement without potential system overloading. We detected your hails. We welcome your delegation, Ambassador Lyra, Captain Arhan. We have prepared an observation chamber aboard the emissary of Sol for your visit. Please prepare to transfer." Lyra exchanged a look with Captain Arhan. "Potential system overloading," she murmured, intrigued. "An interesting justification for silence, and the UNS Aegis, so that is the designation for the Goliath." Arhan nodded, his mandibles clicking softly. "Very well, maintain defensive posture, but stand down from red alert. Prepare Shuttle Diplomacy 1 for transfer. Ambassador, may your empathetic insights guide us." The transfer was uneventful. The human shuttle, swift and surprisingly quiet, docked with the emissary of Sol. Lyra and Arhan, accompanied by a small retinue of guards and xenolinguists, were met by Captain Rostova. Eva Rostova was a human of medium height, with clear, intelligent eyes and an aura of calm professionalism. Her uniform was simple, devoid of excessive adornment, yet it projected an undeniable authority. There was no aggression in her posture, no overt display of power, merely a quiet confidence that was, in its own way, almost as unsettling as the Goliath's silent menace. "Welcome aboard, Ambassador, Captain." Rostova's voice was warm yet precise. "I trust your journey was comfortable." "Captain Rostova," Lyra replied, her voice carefully modulated. "Your hospitality is appreciated. However, we must address the matter of the vessel you refer to as the UNS Aegis. Its presence here and its very nature have caused significant concern within the galactic consensus. Its specifications appear to violate multiple articles of the Galaxial Accords concerning the development and deployment of superweaponry." Rostova's expression remained unreadable. "I understand your concerns, Ambassador. The Aegis is indeed a vessel of unprecedented capability. However, I assure you, it is not a superweapon in the traditional sense, nor does it violate the spirit or letter of the Accords as you perceive them. Perhaps a deeper understanding of its function would alleviate your anxieties." She gestured towards a shimmering archway. "If you would follow me, we have prepared a viewing area that will allow for a contextual understanding." The viewing area was a large, circular chamber, its central floor a transparent plasteel pane that offered an unobstructed view into the vastness of space. And directly beneath them, majestically present, was a section of the UNS Aegis. But it was not what Lyra or Arhan expected. Beneath them, bathed in the faint, distant starlight, was not a weapon bay, nor an engine core, but a vast, verdant expanse. Within the colossal framework of the UNS Aegis, an entire ecosystem flourished. There were towering trees, their foliage a vibrant green against the artificial sunlight filtering from above. There were crystal-clear rivers winding through lush meadows, populated by various species of terrestrial flora and fauna. Delicate bioluminescent insects flitted through the air, and a small, deer-like creature grazed peacefully on the synthetic grass. The sheer scale was breathtaking. It was a self-contained world, a living arc. Lyra's crystalline wings flared in astonishment. Arhan's mandibles parted slightly, a rare display of surprise. What is this?" Lyra breathed, her empathic senses now overwhelmed by the cacophony of life, the gentle hum of the artificial atmosphere, the serene flow of water. There was no aggression here, no sense of latent destruction, only the vibrant pulse of a thriving, carefully managed ecology. Captain Rostova allowed a small, knowing smile to touch her lips. This, Ambassador, is but one of the biodomes within the UNS Aegis. There are many such environments, each meticulously replicated from various ecosystems across old Earth or specifically engineered for optimal long-term habitation. The Aegis is not a warship. It is an ark, a sanctuary, a vessel designed to preserve life in its myriad forms against the ultimate existential threat. Arhan, recovering his composure, rumbled, "An ark. But the energy signatures, the structural integrity, the gravitational field anomalies, these are consistent with a vessel designed for unparalleled destructive capability, not for ecological preservation." "And you are not wrong in your readings, Captain," Rostova affirmed, her gaze sweeping across the verdant landscape below. "The Aegis is designed for resilience beyond anything previously conceived. Its shields are indeed capable of deflecting planetary bombardment. Its engines, though primarily intended for sustained, long-duration interstellar travel across vast, uninhabited voids, possess the theoretical capacity for immense acceleration. Its localized gravitational field anomalies are a byproduct of its energy-dampening systems, designed to stabilize its internal environments during extreme maneuvers or unexpected celestial events. The structural integrity, it is built to withstand, not to destroy, to endure, not to assault. It is, in essence, a mobile, self-sustaining world, designed to survive the cataclysmic collapse of a star system, the rogue passage of a dark nebula, or even the localized fragmentation of spacetime itself. Lyra's mind raced, attempting to process this profound revelation. But why? Why construct such a vessel? What existential threat could possibly warrant such an undertaking? The consensus has maintained galactic peace for cycles. There are no known threats of that magnitude. Captain Rostova's expression grew serious, a hint of something ancient and terrible clouding her eyes. "Ambassador, Captain, for millennia, humanity has stared into the void not just of space but of time. We have sought to understand the universe, its origins, its ultimate fate. And in our quest for knowledge, we discovered something. Something beyond the immediate conflicts of competing civilizations, beyond the petty squabbles over resources or territory. We discovered a truth, a scientific inevitability that threatens all life everywhere eventually." She paused, allowing her words to sink in, their weight settling heavily upon the alien delegates. "We discovered the Great Silence, a cosmic phenomenon that transcends the understanding of immediate galactic politics, a force of universal entropy, a localized unraveling of the fundamental fabric of spacetime itself. It is not a weapon, not an alien species, but a natural, terrifying process of cosmic decay that, in specific regions of the cosmos, is accelerating. We have observed its effects in the dying embers of ancient nebulae, in the inexplicable vanishing of entire star systems, in the sudden cessation of pulsar emissions. Our models, refined through centuries of observation, indicate that a wave of this silence, a localized collapse of fundamental forces, is propagating through this arm of the galaxy. It is slow, inexorable, and utterly destructive to all organized matter and energy." Arhan's stoic facade finally cracked. "A localized collapse of spacetime, such a phenomenon is theoretical, Captain, a scientific abstraction, not a tangible threat." "Indeed, Captain Arhan," Rostova conceded with a nod. "For many, it remains theoretical. For us, it became an undeniable reality. We detected its faint precursors decades ago, then its accelerating progression. Our initial efforts were to find a way to stop it, to reverse it, to understand its underlying physics. We failed. The scale of the phenomenon is beyond any power we can muster. So we shifted our focus. We prepared to endure." The UNS Aegis is the culmination of that preparation. It is not a weapon of war, but a vessel of preservation. It is designed to navigate the expanding zones of the Great Silence, to carry the genetic heritage of Earth, and indeed, any species willing to join us, through the void, seeking regions of the galaxy untouched by this slow, inexorable decay. It is an ark of survival, not a ship of conquest. Lyra's empathic senses, now attuned to Rostova's profound sincerity and the quiet desperation in her words, confirmed the truth of her statement. There was no deception, no hidden agenda, only the chilling reality of a species confronting a cosmic-level threat, a threat so immense that all previous galactic conflicts seemed trivia. In comparison, this is monumental, Captain Rostova. Why was this not shared with the consensus sooner? Why the secrecy?" Rostova sighed, a flicker of weariness crossing her features. Ambassador, we debated this at length within our own councils. Our initial attempts to model the Great Silence to predict its trajectory and impact were met with skepticism, even dismissal from other species who encountered our early data. The concept was too vast, too abstract. It was perceived as fear-mongering, or worse, a pretext for some hidden agenda. We realized that, without overwhelming evidence, our warnings would be dismissed, our resources diverted to interspecies squabbles. Furthermore, the sheer scale of the Aegis project required our entire species' focus, our collective ingenuity. We could not afford to be embroiled in galactic politics while constructing our ultimate sanctuary. We had to prove its necessity, not merely assert it. The Aegis was to be our silent testament, our proof. It was our hope that once it was complete, once its capabilities were undeniable, that the consensus might then be prepared to accept the terrible truth we had uncovered. The implications were staggering. Humanity, the young, brash species from the galactic periphery, had not merely developed a super weapon, but a super survival platform, engineered to confront a cosmic threat that the established powers had not even fully recognized. Their silence, their apparent secrecy, was not born of malice or arrogance, but of a grim, solitary necessity, a desperate race against an unseen apocalypse. The UNS Aegis was not too powerful to be legal. It was too powerful not to be built, an ultimate testament to survival in the face of universal decay. News of the human revelation sent shockwaves through the conclave of unveiled realities. The initial fury and fear that had gripped the consensus were replaced by a profound, almost dizzying sense of awe, followed by a deeper, more chilling apprehension. Elder Cathar, his carapacial plates now shimmering with a spectrum of conflicted emotions, addressed the reconvened council. The holographic projection in the chamber's center now displayed not only the dark, imposing form of the UNS Aegis, but also the tranquil, vibrant biodomes within, a stark contrast that profoundly altered its perception. Ambassador Lyra and Captain Arhan have returned, Cathar's voice echoed, carrying a new, somber weight. Their report is disturbing. Humanity has not violated the Galaxial Accords with the UNS Aegis. Rather, they have transcended them. They have demonstrated an understanding of universal phenomena that dwarfs our own, and a capacity for collective action and technological innovation that is, frankly, humbling. They have built an ark, a vessel of ultimate preservation, to counter a threat we did not even fully comprehend. Representative Xyler of the Krill Dominion, his usual combative demeanor now replaced by a stunned silence, slowly raised a forelimb. Elder Cathar, if what Ambassador Lyra reports is accurate, if this great silence truly exists and is accelerating, then our entire defensive posture, our entire strategic doctrine is rendered irrelevant. We have focused on intergalactic conflicts, on the deterrence of species-level threats. But a cosmic entropy, a localized collapse of spacetime itself, against such a force our fleets are dust, our weapons, toys, our civilizations mere transient sparks. Xyler's voice, usually booming, was now a hollow whisper, laden with a fear far deeper than any he had ever expressed. The Krill, who prided themselves on their martial might, now confronted the terrifying prospect of ultimate powerlessness. Counselor Velor, her iridescent wings still folded, but now in a gesture of deep introspection rather than apprehension, spoke with a newfound solemnity. The human perspective, as articulated by Captain Rostova, is sobering. They faced an existential threat, a force of nature beyond their capacity to halt, and chose to survive, not to succumb. They dedicated their entire collective will, their entire technological infrastructure, to this singular goal. Their secrecy was not malice, but a desperate focus, born of a singular, overriding imperative, the preservation of life. Can we fault them for that? Had we known, would we have believed them? Would we have diverted our resources to a theoretical threat when our own immediate conflicts demanded attention? It is a question that indicts us as much as it illuminates them. The philosophical weight of Velor's words settled over the conclave. For millennia, the consensus had believed itself to be at the apex of galactic understanding, its wisdom and technology the benchmarks against which all others were measured. Now, a species they had initially dismissed as primitive, then feared as aggressive, had revealed a depth of foresight and scientific understanding that shattered they. Our complacency. Humanity, with its raw, almost brutal determination, had stared into the abyss of cosmic extinction and had chosen to build a lifeboat, not a weapon. The implications extend beyond mere survival, Elder Cathar continued, his voice resonating with a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity is not merely building a sanctuary for its own species. Captain Rostova made it clear, the Aegis is designed to carry the genetic heritage of Earth and indeed any species willing to join them. They offer sanctuary, a chance to escape this cosmic decay, not just for themselves, but for others. They are offering us a hand, not an ultimatum. A profound silence descended, heavier than before. The concept of a species facing its own impending doom, offering to share its ultimate salvation with others, including those who had feared and suspected them, was almost incomprehensible to some of the more isolationist factions within the consensus. It was a gesture of altruism on a scale rarely witnessed, a testament to a species' underlying ethical framework, even in the face of ultimate adversity. Representative Zeiler, after a moment of deep reflection, spoke again, his voice now devoid of its former combativeness, replaced by a deep, resonant respect. They were underestimated, profoundly. We saw a potential aggressor, they saw an inevitable catastrophe. We sought to limit their power, they sought to secure their existence. And in doing so, they developed a vessel so advanced, so resilient, that we mistook its sheer survival capacity for offensive capability. It is the ultimate human warship, not because it is designed to wage war, but because it is designed to win the ultimate war, the war against oblivion itself. The term, the ultimate human warship, now carried a different, far more profound meaning. It was not a weapon of destruction, but a fortress of life, a defiant testament to ingenuity and will in the face of cosmic indifference. The Galaxial Accords, designed to limit destructive power, had failed to account for a power dedicated entirely to preservation. It was a legal paradox, but a moral imperative. Over the ensuing cycles, a profound shift occurred within the consensus. The initial fear gave way to urgent collaboration. Human scientists brought into the fold shared their vast datasets, their complex astrophysical models, and their refined predictions regarding the Great Silence. The data, once scrutinized by the consensus's own scientific institutions, proved to be terrifyingly accurate. The slow, inexorable wave of space-time decay was indeed propagating, and its leading edge was closer than any had dared imagine. Fleet deployments, once designed for interspecies deterrence, were now repurposed for deep space observation and data collection, aimed at mapping the precise trajectory and expansion rate of the Great Silence. Resource allocation, once focused on internal development and defense, was now dramatically redirected towards the construction of additional arc vessels, based on human designs, and the rapid retrofitting of existing consensus colony ships for long-duration, high-resilience interstellar travel. Humanity, once an object of suspicion, became the guiding force in a galactic-wide effort for survival. Captain Rostova, now a frequent and respected presence within the consensus advisory councils, explained the human philosophy behind the Aegis in greater detail. Our species, Ambassador Lyra, has always been driven by a peculiar blend of curiosity and resilience. We have faced countless self-inflicted catastrophes on our home world, wars, plagues, environmental collapses. Each time we emerged, often battered, but with a renewed resolve to overcome the next challenge. When we faced this cosmic threat, it was not merely a matter of survival, but of demonstrating that even in the face of ultimate annihilation, life in its infinite forms possesses the inherent right and the stubborn will to persist. The Aegis is not just a ship, it is a declaration that we refuse to simply fade into the cosmic background. It is a testament to the indomitable spirit of life itself. The consensus, in turn, offered its own unique contributions. The Zalosian Enclave, with its deep understanding of bioengineering, began adapting the human biodome designs to incorporate a wider array of alien ecosystems, ensuring the preservation of diverse species. The Krill Dominion, with its vast industrial infrastructure, retooled its heavy manufacturing facilities to rapidly produce the specialized alloys and structural components required for the new arc vessels. The K-Arthar, with their unmatched expertise in long-range navigation and astrogation, began charting optimal escape routes through the vast, uncharted voids, avoiding the predicted paths of the Great Silence. The human capacity for adaptation, for problem-solving under extreme pressure, became legendary. They seamlessly integrated alien tech, technologies into their designs, refined their propulsion systems with consensus antimatter containment fields, and even incorporated Zalosian empathic communication arrays into the Aegis's core systems, allowing for instantaneous, intuitive information sharing across its vast internal network. They were not merely sharing their technology. They were collaborating, truly collaborating, on a scale never before witnessed in galactic history. The first human Ark fleet, spearheaded by the UNS Aegis, prepared for its momentous departure. It was not a retreat, but a strategic exodus, a daring venture into the unknown. The initial plan was to venture towards the galactic core, a region thought to be more stable, less susceptible to the effects of the Great Silence for millennia to come. The Aegis, with its self-sustaining ecosystems, its vast stores of genetic material, and its human crews, would lead the way, a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. Other Ark vessels, a unified fleet now carrying representatives from over a dozen consensus species, would follow. On the eve of departure, Elder Cathar stood on the observation deck of the Consensus Command Station, gazing out at the vast fleet of Ark ships, their hulls gleaming under the artificial light of the station. Captain Rostova stood beside him, her gaze also fixed on the departing vessels. "Captain Rostova," Cathar began, his voice a low, resonant hum. "We owe your species a debt beyond measure. You saw what we could not, you acted where we were complacent, and you have offered us a chance at a future we did not know was threatened. This is perhaps the greatest act of unity the galaxy has ever witnessed." Rostova's gaze softened. "Elder Cathar, it is not merely a human act. It is an act of life. When faced with the ultimate indiscriminate threat, the divisions between species, the squabbles over territory and power become meaningless. We are all passengers on this cosmic vessel, sharing a common fate. Our capacity for ingenuity, our drive to overcome, is not exclusive to humanity. It is an inherent quality of sapient life, perhaps of all life, to persist, to thrive, to reach for the stars, even when the stars themselves begin to fade." As the UNS Aegis initiated its primary jump sequence, a ripple of shimmering energy unfurling around its colossal form, a new, faint signal pulsed across all consensus long-range sensor arrays. It was ancient, almost imperceptible, emanating from a region of space far beyond the predicted path of the Great Silence, from a sector previously considered utterly devoid of sentient life, beyond even the most adventurous exploratory probes. It was not a directed communication, not a distress signal, but a complex mathematical sequence, encoded in a waveform that defied conventional interpretation. It was vast, intricately layered, and utterly alien. The consensus xenolinguists and cryptographers, now working in seamless collaboration with their human counterparts, struggled to decipher it. The signal spoke of geometries previously unknown, of energies barely conceptualized, of a scale of intelligence that made even the vast consensus seem provincial. Captain Rostova, her eyes narrowed in concentration as the newly integrated sensor data streamed into the command center, felt a familiar tremor of excitement, a spark of pure, unadulterated human curiosity. It's not a message in the traditional sense, Elder Cathar," she murmured, her voice filled with wonder. "It's more like a set of instructions, a blueprint, for something vast, something impossibly complex." Elder Cathar, his ocular stalks swiveling rapidly, felt a wave of profound bewilderment, mixed with a nascent, exhilarating hope. "Instructions? For what, Captain?" "For a gateway, Elder," Rostova replied, her voice hushed with awe. "A gateway to somewhere else, a structure designed to traverse cosmic distances, not through conventional warp or jump drives, but by literally folding spacetime itself. It implies a mastery of universal mechanics that far exceeds our combined understanding. It is a way to bypass the Great Silence entirely, to leap across the entire observable galaxy, to a region where life might flourish untouched, or perhaps to a place where this cosmic decay has already been overcome, or never even began." The revelation hung in the air, a cosmic echo promising a journey not merely of survival, but of transcendence. Humanity's ultimate warship, built to outlast the universe's ultimate threat, had not only unified the galaxy, but had inadvertently led them to the threshold of an even grander mystery. The Great Silence was still an undeniable reality, a dark horizon that necessitated their exodus. But now, another path, one of unimaginable possibility, had opened before them. The fight for survival had, in a cosmic twist, transformed into a quest for a new frontier, guided by a ghost from a civilization long vanished, a civilization that perhaps long ago had faced its own Great Silence and had left behind a monumental legacy, a final message of hope, encoded in the very fabric of the cosmos. The UNS Aegis, the ultimate human warship, now carried not just the hope of survival, but the key to an entirely new chapter in the story of life itself, a cosmic odyssey born from the fear of oblivion, now transformed into the promise of boundless exploration. The future, once dim, now shimmered with an unsettling, glorious uncertainty.